Hey everybody, it's Alan Brochstein from 420 Investor and New Cannabis Ventures with your weekly update on the cannabis stock market. And while I smiled gracefully last week, this week it's back to hard to smile. It was not a great week. And I smiled last week despite a terrible Friday after that wonderful Thursday. Uh, but this week we fell, which I'll talk about later, and we are still up on the month, and my model portfolios are doing even better. But after that great July I had, I learned a lesson in September that you can't celebrate victories until the game's over. Okay, so this week there was some news. So first of all, I think I mentioned this last week during the video. The medical data came out in Illinois, and so I did add that to the adult use, and the numbers on the combined basis weren't great. But just remember, Illinois is adding a bunch of dispensaries soon, and in Illinois, in September, sales from August rose 0.2%. So that's basically nothing. The good news about that, though, is wow, unchanged with one less day. Woo! So it was up about 3.5% on a same day basis. And then, unfortunately, compared to a year ago, it's only 3.1% higher. And again, I think that the state, they have a lot fewer retailers or dispensaries than a place like, say, Colorado. So hopefully when they get these new dispensaries, it will help. And then Michigan came out with what I thought was really good news. They released this week, and we wrote it up in New Cannabis Ventures if you want to see more, that the sales were a record 212 million. And by the way, compare that to Illinois, where the combined sales were only 158.7 million. So Michigan it's a bigger state anyway, but their numbers were not only higher but stronger. That was a 2% sequential gain, so 5.5% on or 5.3% on a same day basis, and more importantly, I think 31% higher. And this is interesting because their prices are plunging for flower. And everybody looks at that and like, oh, it's bad. No. When you open up a new market, the prices can be too high and they do come down. So you need to look at the absolute number of $1,700, I think, and $58 per ounce. And you're like, wow. Or is that per ounce? No, per, I forget. Saturday. My brain is not working. I think that's per pound. Sorry, I said that wrong. And I think. So anyway, their price, it was really high before. And it's not like it's low and it's plunging. It's still high and it's plunging. Okay, so that was the news of the week. I did write 4 articles for my subscribers at 420 Investor. And every Friday, including this yesterday, I put out 3 pieces. And so in this weekly review that is linked in the summary here, you'll find, not from yesterday, but from the week before, that there were 3 articles on a Friday afternoon. 420 Investor Weekly Review, which is what I base this video on, and also a model portfolio composition, and then finally the subsector review, which is a chart package where I take similar companies both by subsector and size and compare them for a certain point of time. And this week, I'm talking about not that one, but yesterday, I actually did the same thing as the week before. I did a month to date. So I generally change, but wow, I didn't have to change. The market changed so much between a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and yesterday that it was interesting to do it again. And so, and then I also wrote the second of 3 articles for my monthly newsletter. And the title of it was The Warped World of Cannabis SPACs. And that's available only to my subscribers at 420 Investor. But for you, we wrote, and I linked to it in that article, in August, right before the market crashed, about cannabis SPACs, that some of them looked attractive. And I never said which ones, but I can tell you, whichever ones I thought were attractive, they're more attractive now, but because September was so bad. So that was the second piece. I'm going to write the third one this weekend. So here we are mid-month. Today is the middle of the month. It's my 6-month anniversary of nearly dying. And so I'm doing really well. There's my smile. But so my focus list has 32 names on it right now. And there was news on just a few of them. We are going to have a lot more news in about 3 weeks when earnings season begins. But let me go through the news this week. And again, I write this for my subscribers at 420 Investor who maybe aren't paying attention 24/7. Sometimes they're only checking weekly. That's not the way most of my subscribers are, but some of them. And so this is a weekly review so that I can take everything that happened during the week and come up with what I need to tell them. And so it may be, some of these things may seem kind of silly, but I'm assuming that they never saw me write it in the first place. Okay, so Air, I thought this was big news. Air hired a new president. They formerly had 2 co-COOs. One of them is leaving, and this new guy is coming in as president. And he has been an executive at Neiman Marcus Group for the last 3 years, and he was at another retail company for a long time before that. And, you know, I don't want to diss John Sandelman, but he's a financial guy, and he's not really a non-financial CEO, yet that's what he is. And so anytime you can add to your management capabilities, which I think this was, I don't know the man, but on paper it looked good. The other news was Curaleaf relocated a dispensary in Deerfield, Illinois to better accommodate adult use customers. And that's not big news. This was well-received news. I thought overly well-received. Charlotte's Web inked a deal with Major League Baseball, a branding deal. And I don't think people really realized what they put in their 8K filing, which was that they're paying $30.5 million, some of it in stock, and over the course of the 3 years that the deal's in effect, they have to pay Major League Baseball $30.5 million combined stock and cash. And it didn't break out when the cash and how much, but it did break out the company stock. They're giving MLB 4% of the company. And is this a good idea? I don't think so. I will say that. I have no position in Charlotte's Web. I think the stock is cheap. I think CBD is tough. And maybe it'll change. Fire and Flower, continuing the trend of management turnover recently, lost their CFO, Judy Adam. She wasn't even the CFO that long, but she left to be the CFO of another publicly traded company, non-cannabis related. And the company also made an announcement that it's launching Hi-Fire in Colorado. Woo! I don't think that matters much. And then they also mentioned in that press release that they're on track to open 5 new licensed dispensaries. They have 1 in California right now, but in 5 new ones in New Mexico. Woo! So these guys have Couche-Tard. That's about it, in my opinion. Goodness Growth had the news of the week, or actually it was Verano, but Goodness Growth was on the receiving end of the news, and I think the market was very shocked. Why do I say that? Well, if you look at the Goodness Growth trading, it was trading at a very narrow discount to the price implied by the ratio that was provided for the deal to close at. And I think most people, including Alan, thought the deal was going to close, and yet it's not. And there is a little bit of a back history to it, and it's not like something happened this week. It happened, I think, in mid-September. And I think Verano, I don't know exactly why they would want to not do the deal. The deal, again, was to pick up one of the two Minnesota licenses. And Minnesota is not a great state, but it's gotten better. It's not adult use, it's medical only. And of course, they have one of the New York licenses, one of the 10. And I think that those are very valuable. So it remains to be seen, what happens with Goodness Growth. Right now, most pressing to them is that Verano's trying to get about almost $18 million out of them. $3 million, I believe, in expenses and a termination fee. Although, because they're accusing Goodness Growth of causing a problem. So I'm just here to say, I don't know if that would bury the company, but they don't have that money right now. That's Goodness Growth. Green Lane announced that they're going to distribute OXO products. OXO is a new company that's owned by C-Cell's parent, Smoore. And so it kind of fits in with their current business of being a distributor. Green Lane, I said that, sorry. True Leave is opening a new dispensary in Florida. Woo! They already have a bunch. TerraSend borrowed $45.5 million from a name I've heard of a lot, Polaris Equity Group. We've interviewed them a couple of times at New Cannabis Ventures. And they borrowed this at what seems like a high rate, especially compared to the low rate they got from Canopy Growth a while ago. But it was 12.77%. Wow. No, not wow. Rates have been rising across the world, or certainly in the United States. So our rates are really, really high relative to other rates. But until the legal structure of our market changes, they're going to go up. And that's the way it is. So I don't think that was bad news. And the stock didn't do anything. urban-gro announced that it had signed over $50 million in design build contracts during Q3. The press release said that in general, not this specifically, but in general, those revenues like that take 6 months to 2 years to play out. And so they also in that press release confirmed their outlook for Q3, which I think helped the stock. And then at the end of the week, they announced a deal for a small Texas-based engineering company at $7.5 million total, spread out over time with some cash. And maybe it was all cash, I don't remember. But and that was, they said that the company did, over the last year, $5.5 million in revenue. So it's not that high of a price to sales ratio, and with a 20% EBITDA margin. So sounds good. And then I already mentioned the Verano news. And so I think the big question for Verano, and I'm supposed to talk to management on Monday. They're not going to talk at all about why they broke up or what happened. But I want to find out a couple of things I want to find out that I've shared with my subscribers, but I can't really share them with you, except for one, I will. What are their plans for New York? Because they seem pretty excited about New York, and now they're not going to be in New York. So now let's talk about the market. And the market this week was down 7.1%. So if you add up, and that's the global cannabis stock index. And if you add up the 2 weeks, the market is still up 4.2% month to date. And the S&P 500 is about unchanged. And so the 7.1% decline was a lot more than the S&P 500, but we're kind of used to that. I'd like to draw some happiness from being ahead of the S&P 500 month to date, but I learned my lesson. Don't get ahead of the crowd on that one. And so year to date, that index is down. I can't see my right. 64.3%. That's a lot. That's way more than last year. It's maybe the most ever, and it is a lot. Considering we were down last year too, we've moved a ton since the Democrats took control of Congress, and people got all excited. Talking about my model portfolios, again, at 420 Investor, I run 3 model portfolios. They're all different, but the biggest difference is flying high from the other 2. And flying high is a trading account. I'm supposed to make money, and honestly, this year I've lost money, and this week I lost money too. It was it is up 13.9% in October, so I shouldn't beat myself up too badly. But this week it fell 7%, so a little bit less than the global cannabis stock index. And just to pat myself on the back a little bit, I started this thing in late 2013, and it's up 1,574% since then. And the market's just made an all-time low on September 30th. 420 Opportunity, which is a long-term model portfolio benchmarked against, it tries to beat the global cannabis stock index. It did this week. It fell 6.2% compared to 7.1%, and it is up 11.4% month to date versus 4.2%. So it's having a great month. Year to date, it's beating the index as usual. It is down. Let's see if I can find that. Sorry, my eyes are not seeing it. Sorry, 55.9% compared to, I have something wrong. I'll update this thing I'm linking to. But compared to the 64.1%? I forgot what it was. Sorry, I'm kind of losing it here. 64.3%. So it is better. Is it good enough to get me excited? No, I can't get excited about losing so much money, even if it's less than the market. And then 420 Quality, which the differences there are, number one, it has to only invest in the 32 names that are on my focus list. That's the first one. There is one name in the other one that's not on the focus list. And that doesn't make that big of a difference. The other one that also doesn't make that big of a difference is that I can only go to 20% cash in 420 Opportunity. 420 Quality has a 30% cap. But it's very rare that I market time. And so these don't make a big difference. And 420 Quality looks a lot like 420 Opportunity. In this week, it fell 6.3%. Still better than the global cannabis stock index. And month to date, it's only up 10.5%. And I think that's because I had more MSOs because of this one holding that's different, mainly in 420 Opportunity. And so it's doing a little bit better month to date. But year to date, they're the same, pretty much. Year to date, it's down 56%. And I said 420 Opportunity is down 55.9%. So the last thing that I do usually is I end up with a discussion of the calendar. Well, this week, the calendar is empty. Have a good one. Take care.